The Cleveland Browns didn't just lose a football game. They got exposed, humiliated, and outcoached on national television. But the real story isn't the 34-10 scoreboard. It's the fact that their most talented quarterback never stepped foot on the field. While Joe Flacco tossed 2 brutal interceptions, while the offense stumbled drive after drive, Shedeur Sanders sat and watched, helmet by his side, frustration written all over his face. And as fans at Ford Field chanted, "We want Shedeur," Kevin Stefanski stayed glued to a broken game plan that's rapidly destroying this team from the inside out. This wasn't just a loss, it was a warning sign that the Browns are ignoring reality and clinging to the past at the exact moment they need to lean into the future. Because here's the truth, Flacco's 40. The offense ranks dead last in scoring. The locker room is fractured. The fan base is one bad week away from full collapse. And still, Shedeur Sanders rides the bench. Why? This isn't about development anymore. It's not about being patient. It's about refusing to evolve. Refusing to give your team and your fans a reason to believe anything will ever change. Shedeur isn't just another rookie. He's the most promising quarterback the Browns have drafted in years. 1 year ago at Colorado, he threw for over 4,100 yards, completed 74% of his passes, and led one of college football's greatest program turnarounds, behind one of the worst offensive lines in the country. And in the preseason, he looked composed, accurate, and more dynamic than any other QB currently on the roster. So when does he get a shot? Because every second he spends on that sideline is time wasted. Not just for him, but for an entire organization that's watched dozens of quarterbacks come and go without ever solving the puzzle. And if Kevin Stefanski doesn't figure that out soon, he may not be around to see how this story ends. The fans are chanting, the ownership is furious, the media circling like sharks, and the Browns are running out of excuses. So how bad was it in Detroit? Why is the locker room reportedly on the verge of mutiny? And why are so many people around the league saying Stefanski's days are numbered? Let's break it all down. This was supposed to be a statement game, a turning point, a chance for the Browns to prove they belonged in the playoff conversation. Instead, what happened in Detroit might go down as one of the most embarrassing performances in franchise history. And that's saying a lot. It was a 34-10 beatdown on national television, the kind of loss that forces organizations to look in the mirror. But for the Browns, that reflection was ugly. From the opening whistle, this team looked flat, confused, and completely unprepared on both sides of the ball. The Lions didn't even have to play perfect football. They just had to show up and wait for Cleveland to self-destruct. Joe Flacco stumbled through another lifeless performance, throwing for just 184 yards with 2 critical interceptions. His passes fluttered, his decision-making was slow, and his body language said everything. This is a quarterback who knows he's out of time. Meanwhile, the camera kept cutting to the Browns' sideline, and there he was, Shedeur Sanders, sitting motionless, helmet off, eyes locked on the field. Pure frustration across his face. No dialogue, no prepping, just silence. The fans saw it. 90 minutes into the disaster, you could hear them loud and clear inside Ford Field. "We want Shedeur," chanting, booing, begging. But Kevin Stefanski, he refused. No adjustments, no substitutions, just blind loyalty to a game plan that was never working from the start. By halftime, Detroit was in cruise control. Cleveland looked defeated, not just physically, but mentally. And the head coach? He looked like a man coaching not to lose, which is exactly how you get blown out in the NFL. And then came the post-game flood. Reporters, analysts, and former players all unloaded. Social media exploded. Fan outrage went viral in real time. But it wasn't just about losing a game. It was about watching a franchise continue making the exact same mistakes, ignoring talent, clinging to washed veterans, and pretending like fans can't see what's really going on. This wasn't just another Sunday loss. It was a complete organizational meltdown, the kind of performance that turns frustration into full-on revolt and completely breaks the trust between a team and its supporters. The craziest part, it was all so avoidable, because the Browns didn't just get beat. They chose this, play by play, decision by decision, mistake by mistake. And worse, they did it with the one guy who could have made a difference, watching it all from the bench. At this point, it's not even about Joe Flacco being a former Super Bowl MVP, because that version of Joe Flacco doesn't exist anymore. What Cleveland has now is a 40-year-old quarterback who can't escape pressure, can't push the ball downfield, and can't stop throwing interceptions when it matters most. In 3 starts this season, Flacco has managed just 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, with a quarterback rating barely cracking 65, one of the worst marks in the league. Add in a completion rate just over 61%, and you're looking at production that screams backup, not franchise starter. And yet, for reasons no one on the outside can seem to understand, head coach Kevin Stefanski keeps doubling down. Game after game, drive after drive, it's Flacco at the helm, even as the offense stalls, sputters, and completely collapses. It's not just costing them games, it's costing them the locker room. Because what message does it send to your team when a guy can throw back-to-back picks, kill momentum, and still be untouched on the depth chart? What message does it send to your offense when they're racking up hits and protecting a quarterback who isn't getting them into the end zone? It's not about making a panic move or benching someone after one bad game. This is a 3-week trend, and the results aren't trending up. They're falling off a cliff. Even worse, there's no real plan behind it. Stefanski keeps repeating the same robotic phrase. Joe gives us the best chance to win. But does he? Because through 3 games, the Browns are averaging just 15.2 points per game, dead last in the NFL. They've only topped 13 points once. The passing offense is among the league's worst, and Flacco's stat line alone has directly contributed to multiple losses. At this point, it's not just blind loyalty, it's coaching negligence. You're sitting on a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who threw 37 touchdowns in college last year, completed 74% of his passes, led his team to a massive turnaround behind one of the worst O-lines in the country. And you're benching him for a veteran who can't stop turning the ball over? It's baffling. It's frustrating. Most of all, it's unsustainable. Because eventually, it won't just be the fans calling for a change. It'll be the locker room, it'll be the front office, and it might even be the owner himself. You've seen the name trending, you've heard the fans chanting. But who exactly is Shedeur Sanders? And why are so many people convinced he's the answer to the Browns' growing disaster? Let's clear something up. This isn't just another rookie with potential. Shedeur Sanders is the most explosive, exciting quarterback prospect this franchise has had in years, and the numbers back it up. Last season at Colorado, Shedeur didn't just put up good stats. He broke records. He threw for over 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, and completed a staggering 74.1% of his passes, ranking him among the very best in all of college football. And he did that while playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in the country, a unit so leaky that Sanders was pressured on nearly half his dropbacks. But here's what stood out the most. He never flinched. Week after week, pressure collapsing around him, Sanders delivered in rhythm, made smart decisions, extended plays with his legs, and kept his team competitive, even when they had no business being in the game. Under his leadership, Colorado went from a 1-win team to a 9-win program, shocking the college football world. The energy, the swagger, the composure, it was all there. And it wasn't just hype because of his last name. He earned every bit of it. Then came the preseason. In limited snaps with the Browns, Shedeur looked sharp, confident, and fully in command of the offense. He completed 12 of 19 passes for 129 yards, threw a touchdown, and finished with a quarterback rating over 100. It wasn't flashy, it was surgical, precise, calm. Even veteran teammates took notice. According to multiple insiders, players were already saying in August, "This kid throws the best ball on the roster. He's not rattled. He's ready." So if that's the case, why hasn't he played a single regular season snap? It's the question that haunts this fan base. Because everything Shedeur has shown, from college production to preseason performance to practice reports, screams ready. And yet, while the Browns' offense sinks deeper and deeper into dysfunction, their most promising player is stuck watching from the sideline. This isn't about rushing a rookie. It's about giving your team a spark. It's about building for the future. And right now, Shedeur Sanders might be the only one who can save this season before it slips away for good. What's happening in Cleveland isn't just a losing streak. It's a full-blown meltdown, and everyone inside the building knows it. From the outside, it looks like poor quarterback play, but behind the scenes, the Browns are unraveling from top to bottom. Let's start at the top: ownership. Multiple reports say Browns owner Jimmy Haslam was so furious during the Lions game, he stormed out of the press box before the final whistle. He wasn't just upset about the score. He wanted answers, specifically about why Shedeur Sanders is being benched while Joe Flacco struggles every week. Insiders say Haslam pressed the front office after the game, demanding to know point blank, why did we draft this kid if we're never going to play him? That question hits at the heart of everything going wrong. Because while the coaching staff remains glued to experience, the front office sees the future rotting on the bench. And then there's the locker room, once steady, now quietly boiling. Veteran players are starting to speak up, not publicly, but privately, questioning Stefanski's logic, refusing to understand how long this can go on. Offensive linemen have voiced frustration behind closed doors. Defensive players? They're just tired of doing everything right, only to watch the offense blow opportunity after opportunity. One veteran reportedly told a teammate, "We're getting beat up every Sunday trying to protect guys who aren't producing. Something has to change." And it's not just player-to-player tension. Reports from inside the facility say the coaching staff and front office aren't even aligned anymore. The group that pushed to draft Sanders, frustrated. The coaches who won't play him, defensive. Communication breakdowns are happening weekly, and the tension is growing louder with every loss. Meanwhile, fans have had enough. Social media exploded seconds after the Detroit blowout ended. Hashtags like Free Shedeur and hashtag Fire Stefanski started trending almost immediately. Viral videos of Sanders just sitting on the bench, helmet off, visibly frustrated, racked up millions of views within hours. The Browns aren't just losing games, they're losing trust in the staff, in the leadership, in the process. And once that's gone, it's almost impossible to get it back. Now the team faces a choice: dig in and keep spiraling, or finally pull the trigger and give this franchise the spark it's been begging for. Because if they don't act soon, this meltdown could become something a whole lot worse. If you want to know how bad things have gotten in Cleveland, just listen to the locker room. Because behind all the press conference soundbites and carefully crafted quotes, players are losing faith, not just in Joe Flacco, but in the decisions that keep putting him out there. And more importantly, they're starting to rally around someone else, Shedeur Sanders. According to multiple reports, frustration inside the locker room has been slowly building for weeks. But after the Lions' blowout, it finally boiled over. Offensive linemen, the group tasked with protecting quarterbacks, are reportedly tired of laying it all on the line for a guy who's not giving them a chance to win. One lineman allegedly said, "We're getting our heads knocked off, blocking for quarterbacks who can't move the ball. It's demoralizing." And it's not just the offense. On the other side of the ball, the defense is fed up too. The Browns' defense has been dominant, allowing just 17 points per game. More than good enough to win in the NFL. But they've been left hanging week after week by an offense that can't finish drives, can't score touchdowns, and can't keep them off the field. One defensive captain, ... reportedly told teammates, "We're doing our job, but we can't score for the offense too." The message is loud and clear. They've done their part. Now it's time for the offense to figure it out. And within that, a name keeps coming up again and again: Shedeur Sanders. Veteran players have started praising the rookie behind the scenes for his arm talent, his pocket poise, and most of all, his preparation. He shows up early, he studies film, he acts like a starter, even when the coaches treat him like an afterthought. One teammate told local reporters anonymously, "The kid can flat out play. Everyone here knows it. He throws the best ball in that room, and he's way more ready than they're giving him credit for." Another vet reportedly put it even more bluntly. "We've seen what Flacco can do. We've seen what Deion can do. Neither of them's winning games. Why not give the rookie a shot?" This isn't about politics or favoritism anymore. It's about players who want to win and who recognize that whatever the current plan is, it's not working. And once the locker room starts turning, coaches don't have much time left. When the final whistle blew in Detroit, the scoreboard said 34-10, but the real beatdown started after the game ended, and it was aimed directly at Kevin Stefanski. Within minutes, the media frenzy hit full speed. Local sports radio lit up with calls for Stefanski's head. NFL analysts on national TV dismantled his every decision, and social media, it exploded into a full-scale uprising. One post-game segment on ESPN started with 5 words: "This is coaching malpractice, period." Fans had already been circling, growing more restless with each failed drive and bland press conference. But this loss was the moment the national media joined the pile-on, and they didn't hold back. Stephen A. Smith called Stefanski's strategy cowardly. Rich Eisen asked, "What is this franchise even doing?" And NFL veterans turned analysts openly questioned if Stefanski even wants to keep his job. Because from the outside, it looks like everyone sees the problem except the man in charge. A struggling, aging quarterback, continuing to start over a young, talented rookie who's literally built for the modern NFL. And when Stefanski was asked directly about Shedeur Sanders in the post-game press conference, he gave the same generic line he's been recycling for weeks. "We're continuing to evaluate all our players. We believe Joe gives us the best chance to win." It didn't land. Not with the fans, not with the reporters, not with anyone. Because that statement might work after 1 loss, maybe even 2. But after 3 weeks of offensive failure, blown opportunities, and embarrassing performances, it comes off like delusion. Worse, it sounds like fear. Fear of taking risks, fear of making bold changes, fear of letting a rookie take control of the most important position on the field. But here's the truth the media isn't afraid to say: Shedeur Sanders is ready. And Stefanski refusing to at least give him a shot? That's no longer just a football decision. It's becoming a job-threatening mistake. Because in today's NFL, there's one thing coaches don't get much of: time. And when the fans revolt, the locker room turns, and the national media turns you into a punchline, your clock starts ticking fast. Right now, Kevin Stefanski isn't just losing games. He's losing support. He's losing control of his team. And if things don't change soon, he might lose everything. If you've been a Browns fan for more than 5 minutes, you already know this isn't new. Leadership, poise, intelligence, swagger. He's got everything this franchise has lacked under center, and he's the future they claim to be building toward. So what are they doing? Hiding him on the bench, letting a washed-up veteran collect losses, acting as if this is part of the plan, when in reality, it's just fear in a different jersey. It's deja vu, over and over. And right now, Browns fans feel like they're watching history repeat itself in real time. You drafted a quarterback with massive upside. You sold hope to your entire fan base. And then, when the moment came, you benched him. Just like you've done to every young quarterback before him. Holding football's future hostage in the name of experience, structure, readiness. But readiness doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines. It comes from playing, learning, failing, and growing. And that's the tragedy here. Because if you don't give Shedeur Sanders his moment now, when the offense is broken, when the locker room's restless, when the fans are practically on their knees begging for a change, then when will you? Browns fans have seen this movie before, and they're sick of the rerun. They've seen the talent wasted, the decisions fumbled, the windows close. They don't want another name on the quarterback graveyard wall. They want something different, finally. But unless the Browns break their own cycle, Shedeur Sanders may become just another ghost in Cleveland's haunted quarterback history. As if the Browns needed more pressure, here comes Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and the most outspoken, visible figure in college football. Now, he's putting the Cleveland Browns on notice. During a recent interview on the New Heights podcast, Deion didn't hold back. He was calm, cool, but the message was crystal clear. Be patient and be ready, he said, speaking directly about his son. It's coming. I've got a prediction. It's going down this year. He didn't. To be fair, this situation is tricky for the coaching staff. They're already under pressure from the fans, the front office, and the media. Now, throw in a legendary father publicly declaring his son's time is coming, and suddenly, it's not just about football. It's about optics, pride, and control. And here's the thing. Deion isn't just Shedeur's dad. He's a branding machine and a media powerhouse. Every word he says makes headlines. Every interview he gives travels fast. And when he speaks, people listen, inside the Browns building included. Multiple insiders had quietly acknowledged that Deion has maintained steady communication with members of Cleveland's front office this season. He hasn't made demands, but he has made his expectations known. Simply put, his son didn't come to the NFL to warm a bench behind a quarterback throwing 2 picks a game. And the pressure from dad might just be the tip of the iceberg. Because now, Deion's prediction is public. And that means if the Browns don't make a move, and soon, they'll be answering one question over and over again. What are you waiting for? Kevin Stefanski already has the fans against him. He's got the media circling. The locker room is on edge. And now, he's got primetime watching and talking. Every week that Shedeur Sanders stays on the bench, the Cleveland Browns aren't just missing out on potential wins. They're wasting a golden opportunity. Because here's what the best teams in the NFL understand. You don't develop quarterbacks by hiding them. You develop them by playing them. The NFL game is fast, it's brutal, but it's also the greatest teacher. Timing, pressure, defensive recognition, none of it can be fully learned in practice or from the sideline. Real growth only happens when the lights are on and the pressure is real. And that's exactly what Cleveland is denying Shedeur right now. Real reps, real growth, real development. This isn't just about whether he can step in and win games tomorrow, though many believe he can. It's about giving him the foundation to become who you drafted him to be. If he's your quarterback of the future, then every snap he doesn't take delays that future. Meanwhile, compare this to other teams around the league. The Houston Texans threw C.J. Stroud into action immediately. Now he looks like the face of their franchise. Indianapolis got Anthony Richardson on the field early. The Bears let Justin Fields develop through games. Even if the results weren't perfect, those quarterbacks became better by playing. But in Cleveland's case, talent is being boxed up, stored away. And it's not because Shedeur hasn't earned it. It's because the coaching staff is locked into a dying game plan, choosing safe, choosing steady, and choosing slow failure over bold growth. And something else is being wasted: momentum. Shedeur entered the league with hype, fan support, and national attention. He had a solid preseason. He earned respect in the locker room. The timing to make a move was perfect. And now, that spark is flickering. Every series Flacco plays is lowering the expectations for what this team could have been. Every blowout loss without a change at QB is sending one message: we'd rather lose than try something different. And how do you explain that to a fan base? More importantly, how do you explain that to a young quarterback who's done everything right? Because there's one thing worse than not having a franchise quarterback: having one and doing nothing with him. At this point, there's no more room for excuses. No more "it's not the right time." No more "he's not ready." Cleveland is out of time, out of options, and very nearly out of belief. The only question that matters now is simple. Will the Browns finally do what everyone's been waiting for and start Shedeur Sanders? Because the alternative isn't just more losing, it's another wasted season, another missed opportunity, another chapter in the same sad story fans have been reading since 1999. At this point, even Stefanski's most loyal defenders are struggling to justify sticking with Flacco. The offense is dead. The team is flat. The fans are on edge. And every game Shedeur sits feels like a moment slipping away, both for him and for this entire franchise. Look around the league. Modern NFL football is about adaptation. It's about risk. It's about talent, especially at quarterback. And talent is what Shedeur Sanders has in abundance. He's mobile, he's accurate, he's smart. He tore up college defenses. He's impressed in practice. He's carried himself with poise through a brutal storm of criticism and inactivity. And most importantly, he wants it. The locker room sees it. The fans believe it. Even ownership seems ready to embrace it. And yet, the coaching staff has hesitated over and over again. Could that change now? There's reason to think so. Internal pressure is mounting. Veteran players are speaking out. The media storm is still raging. And as Stefanski's seat gets hotter by the day, starting Sanders may be the only move that cools it down. This isn't about throwing a rookie into chaos. It's about giving this team a fighting chance. Not just at winning now, but building something real for the future. Something sustainable. Something fans can rally behind. Because what's the worst that happens? He struggles? He throws a pick? He looks inconsistent? Newsflash. Those things are already happening with veteran quarterbacks who have no upside left. At least with Shedeur, every rep is a step forward. Every pass is a learning opportunity. Every possession is a building block. The coaching staff has backed themselves into a corner. Now there's only one way out. Let the kid play. Because if they don't, they won't just lose fans. They might lose the locker room, the season, and whatever future Shedeur Sanders was supposed to lead.